Our team with the South Sudan Presbyterian Evangelical Church has been conducting healing and reconciliation workshops using the approach Healing Hearts, Transforming Nations, or HHTN, in South Sudan for more than 6 years. These 3-day workshops are a significant transformative experience that can start the healing process for participants. We have seen God bring healing, forgiveness, and freedom to many people. So I want to try to give you an overview of this approach and also show you some of the practical activities that are part of the learning process and what this looks like in South Sudan. We use the image of building a house to symbolize the progression of the workshop. We start with the foundation, a revelation of God's heart, which includes the first 6 topics, usually covered on the first day. In this section, we discuss God's desire for unity in the midst of diversity, just like we see in the Trinity, and then the things that prevent us from experiencing that unity, like prejudice. One meaningful activity is exploring the sources we each have that influence us towards prejudice and the fruits of prejudice we see around us. We look at how our identity, as defined by the world, can be a source of shame, wounding, or dangerous pride. When we follow Jesus, God gives us a new identity as children of God and members of God's holy nation, where all people are included and have equal value. In the foundation, we also talk about God's plan for the church, his people, to be agents of change in their communities, or as Jesus says, salt and light.
You are the light, and the light is.
We acknowledge that the church has failed in many cases to speak out against division or injustice, and how we need to acknowledge those failures. But God still has hope for the church and chooses to work through us. Finally, we discuss wounds that we might have received in our families or as children, and how God longs to show us the unconditional love of the perfect parent. During a time of prayer and ministry, participants are invited to acknowledge and lament the wounds from their families, to forgive their parents, and to receive God's perfect love. The second phase of building the house is the walls, which is healing our wounds, which includes 4 topics on the second day of the workshop. We identify and lament together some of the collective losses that our communities or nations have experienced. We also discuss the impact of inner wounds on ourselves and others, and that our heart wounds need to be identified and treated in order to heal, just like physical wounds. Jesus' death on the cross is the central focus of this phase of healing our wounds. When we realize that Jesus bears our pain as well as our sin, as it says in Isaiah 53 verse 4, and we have an opportunity to share our wounds with people and with God and give them over to God, the result can be truly transformative. After people have given over the pain in their hearts to God, we often hear testimonies of the emotional or physical freedom that they feel. The third phase of the workshop is the sealing, which is forgiveness and repentance, addressed on the final day of the workshop. After we have experienced God's healing by giving over our pain, we can find the grace to be able to forgive people who have wounded us. We look at what biblical forgiveness really is and the freedom that forgiveness can bring. We also explore how and why we should acknowledge our own wrongs and ask for forgiveness when we have harmed someone. In this section, we also address corporate repentance for wrongs done by or against a group of people, and how we as believers can stand in the gap to help others be able to forgive. We call this identificational confession. This is a time of deep reflection and vulnerability. where we are invited to name the wrongs done by our people and to ask forgiveness from those who have been wronged. This might be one tribe acknowledging the wrongs done to another tribe, or pastors repenting for bad leadership in the church, or men repenting for the ways that women have been mistreated and disrespected. Finally, the roof of the house is reconciliation, which comes when we have understood and covered the other stages. After talking about our pain and facing all of these difficult things together, we conclude with celebrating that all of us are part of God's holy nation, with unique contributions that reflect God's glory. We name the positive talents and traits we see in the specific communities represented, and then we speak blessings to the people of each group. I have shown you what the Healing Hearts Transforming Nations workshop looks like in South Sudan. But it is being conducted in many countries of the world, including in the United States. If you would like to learn more or are interested in attending one of these workshops, you can go to the website at hhtnglobal.org or contact me. Our church partner, the South Sudan Presbyterian Evangelical Church, now has a team of more than 30 people across South Sudan who have been trained as facilitators of this workshop. Please pray with us that God would continue to bring healing and reconciliation in South Sudan and around our world. Thank you.